Good evening and welcome to Travel Itch Radio. I'm Dan Schlossberg along with Roger Noriega, my friend and producer and co-host. We are in the 14th season of Travel Itch Radio, the show that lets you enjoy the pleasures of travel from the comfort of your armchair.
Every week at this time, we talk to people representing destinations, hotels, airlines, cruise lines, railroads, car rental companies, and others in the world of travel and hospitality, from authors and bloggers to broadcasters and publicists. If it's got anything to do with travel, it's got everything to do with Travel Itch Radio.
And our guest today is Lori Sherman of Irving, Texas. Welcome, Lori, to Travel Itch Radio.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here and have the opportunity to tell your audience all about Irving.
Well, I'm excited to have you on our show, Lori, because many of our viewers may not know about Irving or what you have to offer. So please share exactly where you're located and in particular your proximity to the Dallas Metroplex.
Okay, well, first let me clear up a common mix-up, which we are often mistaken for Irvine, California, but we are proudly Irving, Texas. So Irving is perfectly positioned just between Dallas and Fort Worth and just minutes from Dallas Love Field, which is in Dallas proper, and DFW International Airport, which is actually in Irving. So, and we're only a 3-hour flight from either coast, so very easily accessible.
Wallet Hub once ranked Irving the second most culturally diverse city in the country, thanks to more than 90 nationalities whose food and culture make a delicious mix. Please share.
Yes, we are a delicious mix. We are one of the most diverse cities in the country. And what this means for you and me is a vast array of authentic ethnic food and cultural experiences. As an example of an experience, we have the annual Dragon Boat Festival on Lake Carolyn.
With Valentine's Day less than a week away, please tell us why Irving is often called the most romantic city in Texas and even the state's sweetheart city.
Irving has earned its reputation as the most romantic city in Texas because it offers a picture-perfect setting for love. Our stunning Mandalay Canal walk with its old world charm, cobblestone walkways, and arched footbridges transport you and yours straight to Europe. And should you choose a gondola cruise, which is also available, you will be whisked away to Venice. Whether it's a candlelit dinner at one of our top restaurants, a luxurious stay at a waterfront resort, or a scenic sunset cruise on Lake Carolyn, Irving offers romance at every turn.
Water attractions are universally considered to be romantic, and Irving not only has gondolas and a Lovelock Bridge, but also water activities in and around Lake Carolyn, the Trinity River Trail, and the Mandalay Canals. We know visitors can go for a hike on the Riverwalk, enjoy a leisurely ride on a pedal boat or kayak, or even try their luck at stand-up paddle. We understand Gondola Adventures can arrange everything from a sunset ride to a decadent dinner on the water in an authentic Venetian gondola.
And that's one question.
I speak fast.
I'm sorry?
Okay. Well, let's find out about that Lovelock Bridge over the Mandalay Canal in Irving. Is it modeled after the one in Paris? People attach a lock, throw away the key? Is that how it works, Lori?
You froze, actually, but
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm not sure what all you said, but I almost forgot to mention one of the most romantic hidden treasures here in Irving is the Lovelock Bridge. I think you started about that and then you froze. Yes. So Irving is home to its very own Lovelock Bridge that is inspired by the famous Paris Bridge. It became super popular after being featured on Love is Blind. And that really made it a must-visit spot for couples looking to leave a lasting symbol of their love. Just lock it in and throw away the key.
We're talking Irving, Texas with Lori Sherman.
Irving is known for its romantic restaurants, especially the Knife Italian, Pacific Table, and the Ranch at Los Colinas, where Cowboy Charm feels, or I should say meets fine dining, featuring Texas flavors. And the Pacific Table blends fresh seafood with gorgeous lakeside views. Please share about that.
Well, these are the romantic restaurants, as you mentioned, because of the because of the lakeside views, and Pacific Table's food is wonderful, but the lakeside views, there's a fire pit outside with a great patio. So that really makes it romantic. Knife Italian is a brand new restaurant in the new Ritz-Carlton, and that restaurant is all pink. That may not sound great to the guys, but it is very pink and very whimsical and very romantic, kind of dark also. And then, of course, they serve delicious steaks. And then they have a menu with an Italian flair, actually. And then the ranch, quintessential Texas, but it's kind of got the ranch feel and the fireplace and all that, but it has beautiful chandeliers hanging. So it feels romantic as well.
Every day is Valentine's Day at the luxury hotel called Texican Court, a boutique property known for courtyards, fire pits, and retro chic vibes. And Omni Las Colinas has easy access to these gondola rides we mentioned.
That's true. We love the Texican Court. It's very kitschy. It was modeled after the what do you call them? The westerns, the old motor court inns, and the western films. So, but it has its romantic side because the courtyards have several fire pits and fireplaces and chairs, and you can snuggle up under a blanket and you can roast s'mores. They provide s'mores kits, so that's kind of fun. And then the Omni, wow, they have an amazing pool. The Texican has a round pool, but the Omni has a beautiful pool on the lakeside, so that makes it really fun.
It's good to know. Irving has a wide variety of restaurants, including Cajun, Chinese, Indian, French, Italian, Brazilian, and even Mediterranean, with an all-you-can-eat buffet at Zaytin Mediterranean Grill.
You mentioned Cajun, so if I may, I'd like to give a shout out to my favorite Southern cooking spot with a Cajun flair. It's Po Melvin's, and it serves the best shrimp, boiled or fried. And the reason it's the best shrimp is because they're Louisiana whites. I don't know what that means exactly, but it's a type of shrimp that's delicious. The po' boys and the black-eyed peas should get a mention, along with the best bread pudding. And I tell you to watch out for the hurricanes, though.
Let's go. Irvine salutes the great equestrian history of Texas with the Mustangs of Los Colinas, the largest horse sculpture in the world. It's a great photogenic spot too, found in William Square Plaza. Would you tell our viewers a little bit about the sculpture?
Yes, it is magnificent. The sculpture features 9 Mustangs that are galloping across a granite stream. It's certainly not what you would expect to see in the center of 3 pink granite buildings that are urban towers that surround it. It was the vision of a man named Ben Carpenter, who converted his family ranch into the master plan development of Las Colinas. So in 1976, Mr. Carpenter commissioned an African wildlife artist named Robert Glenn to bring his vision to life. And the artist began designing in Nairobi, Kenya. He finished at a foundry in England and shipped the sculpture by air from England to be mounted. It was a long process, and the larger-than-life sculpture was dedicated in September of 1984. Also, visitors are able to tour the Mustang Museum, which is just in one of the buildings, and to discover the process behind crafting the sculptures. So that's cool.
Thank you. I understand there's a great cow sculpture too on top. Is it Brune or Bruni Hill?
Brune.
Thank you. Isn't it a tribute to the rolling ranch lands that once dominated the area, now known as Los Colinas?
Yes, exactly. Many generations of ranchers lived on this land that is now considered Las Colinas, which means Spanish for the hills.
And if we may stay on that, on Los Colinas, it's a community within a community that just celebrated its 50th anniversary. Its novel concept includes residence and business parks linked by public transportation surrounding scenic Lake Caroline. It has 200 restaurants, 24 hotels, 4 golf courses, a convention center, music theater, and links to both downtown Dallas and DFW Airport by light rail. That's Dallas-Fort Worth. Plus 17 miles of walkways and canals and 190 acres of parkland. Not too bad for a former prairie.
Yeah, absolutely. Las Colinas is beautiful. It incorporates architecture, old world charm. What happened is Mr. Carpenter visited some European countries and took a little bit of each back to Las Colinas. So the gondolas, the old bridges, the clock tower, those kind of things.
I like the idea of walking the Lake Carolyn Loop, which is less than 3 miles in length, right?
Yes, a little under 2.98 or 97. I don't know exactly. I've run it before, but not often. But it's a really popular loop, not only for people, but for their four-legged friends too.
Oh, good to know. I understand that music is important in Irving, where there are multiple live music venues, plus the Live Nation Pavilion at the Toyota Music Factory. We'd like to know more about musical Irving and also what's happening after dark.
Well, a lot, I'll tell you. Toyota Music Factory opened several years ago. It's an entertainment complex that hosts restaurants, venues, live music venues, and the Live Nation Pavilion, which is an indoor-outdoor amphitheater. It seats up to 8,000, with 4,000 on the floor and 4,000 in the grass in the amphitheater portion. And all kinds of acts, from comedians to even politicians to, world-class artists come to Live Nation Pavilion. As part of that complex, there is a new venue. It's about maybe a year old, called the Rayleigh Underground. The reason it's called the Underground is because it actually is built underneath the amphitheater that slopes down. So, and they are kind of like an old time supper club. I picture Frank Sinatra performing there. They have a huge stage and they have the dinner tables that surround the stage. And it's just got that supper club feel, delicious food and drinks and the whole 9 yards. Also, in Toyota Music Factory, there's Mama Tried, which is a honky tonk, but they often have live music. And outside of Mama Tried, in the middle of the venue, there is a big plaza. It's just been renovated, and it has a new stage, and it has a lot going on. They play live music every Friday and Saturday night from that stage. If there's a concert at the pavilion, then they'll have a band before and after, and it will be the same genre of music that is at the pavilion.
I understand there's a lot of culture around too, from the Ruth Payne House Museum to the Irving Arts Center. Should visitors include them on their must-see itineraries?
Definitely, especially if you're a history buff or intrigued by the assassination of John F. Kennedy. The Ruth Payne House, some of you may not be familiar with, but it is where Lee Harvey Oswald spent the night before the assassination. He came back there. His wife, Katrina, was living with Ruth Payne in her home because they were kind of on the outs-ish. But he came for that night and stayed there that night, left his wedding ring on the nightstand, and he went to the garage and got his gun out of the garage and left. And then, you know the rest. But the Ruth Payne House, it has been renovated, or not renovated, but restored to look just like it did in 63, I believe. And so to see the Ruth Payne House, you get a private guided tour. And the historian knows so much about any question you ask, he could answer. And it's really interesting. They have holograms that talk while you're going through the house. So it's a great visit. The Irving Arts Center is home to 10 resident arts organizations, and they offer cultural programs and hands-on opportunities for artists, actors, and musicians. They have kids programs, and they also feature 2 theaters that host theatrical performances, ballet, symphony concerts, and more.
We should also mention the C.R. Smith Museum and the American Journey Experience and the Frontiers of Flight Museum. When visitors need a break from the weather, we always recommend a sojourn in a museum.
Well, I'd like to mention the Irving Archives Museum. It tells the city story. It gives the history of Irving, which you can walk through at your own pace and see all the history from the very first, time the town was. Well, what do you call it? When a town is instituted, What do you call that?
Founded.
Founded. Thank you. I lost that word. That was an easy one too. But anyway, it tells that story. Plus, it has a whole child's area, the Smithsonian Spark Lab, and that features activities for kids to create, innovate, and collaborate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking Irving, Texas with Lori Sermon.
At Travel It's Radio, Lori, we love history in general and railroads in particular. So we'd like to know more about Heritage Park, which is Irving's tribute to the railroad industry, with the original depot and water tower right there.
The railroads put Irving on the map. There were two men, Schulz and Brown, who came to survey a railroad route between Dallas and Fort Worth. And then they just decided to stay and buy land. And hence, Irving was eventually founded. Heritage Park is a nod to that history. The park was renovated, though, in 2021. And in addition to being a historical site, it's now a gathering place with picnic area, playground, a stage for performances, and a food truck area. And the city often hosts events there, movie night, concerts, those kind of things, when the weather agrees.
Tell us more about the Irving Heritage District. We hear there are guided 2-hour tours on the first Sunday of each month.
That is true, and that is actually at Heritage House. The district includes the park plus shops and restaurants and the Heritage House. The house was built in 1912 and today is furnished with original family items and period antiques. So this is where you can take the guided tour on the first Sunday of the month.
Irving has an art center, a convention center, and lots of greenery, including plenty of places for golf as both a participation and a spectator sport. Doesn't Las Colinas Country Club host the annual Invited Celebrity Classic?
Yes, and that event was especially fun for the kiddos, looking for autographs from football players, baseball players, golfers, of course. A lot of fun. And not far from the Las Colinas Country Club, where that tournament was held, is the new Ritz-Carlton, which actually features not one but two championship golf courses. One, which is also a certified Audubon Cooperative Sanctuary. Say that 5 times fast. As a guest of the hotel, you have access to play these courses. So that's an awesome perk of being a guest of the Ritz-Carlton.
An Irving Golf Club is designed for everyone from the novice to the pro. It has a par 71 public course, a practice facility, and a great dining spot called The Hideout, named for the legendary Bonnie and Clyde. I love that movie.
I did too. Yes, the Irving Golf Club is really nice, and the great thing about the Irving Golf Club is that it's public and anybody can play that course.
And speaking of greenery, could you tell us about the Las Colinas Flower Clock, which I understand is one of your most photogenic sites?
It isn't just a pretty landmark, actually. It's a working timepiece, and it's made entirely of blooms that change with the seasons. Come Christmas time, it gets even more magical with twinkling lights. At 37 feet diagonally, it's hard to miss. And it was actually one of Ben Carpenter's big ideas for Las Colinas. And it was finished the same year as the Mustangs. But I told you how he traveled to Europe and he got the flower clock idea in Europe, actually. It is a photogenic spot, but difficult to get a picture of because it sits right on the corner of an intersection. So it's a little challenging. You can't really take a selfie there. You'd have to walk.
But if it keeps accurate time, what do they do when it's daylight savings time, spring and fall? That must be crazy to change it by an hour.
I haven't ever thought of that. I don't know. That'll be something I'll need to find out. It's curious.
So the next time we have daylight savings time, which is coming fairly soon,
yeah, it is.
You have to be at the clock when they make the change. It's probably like 2 a.m., right?
Right.
Okay, we're talking Irving, Texas with Lori Sermon.
We must mention Campeon Trails, a greenbelt development along the Trinity River, since it has some of the most historic trails and crossings anywhere in Texas. One of them is the route Sam Houston took en route to signing the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in 1843, and the same route used during the California Gold Rush a few years later. What is Campeon Trails like today?
It's a very popular trail. It's a great concrete path for walkers, runners, cyclists, and even bird watchers. There's a mixture of both natural and urban views along the trail. And currently there is a north section and a south section, but the plan is to connect the two for a 22-mile green belt along the forks of the Trinity River. That's projected for 2025. I don't know if they're on track, actually. Since that's
Good
this
to know.
year, I don't know. Have to check.
As we will as well. One of the most important aspects of any trip is the dining experience, and Irving offers considerable diversity in dining. What are the local restaurants that merit special attention?
How much time do we have left?
Fair enough.
I'd like to mention Water Street. It is a diverse mix of restaurants. It's a smaller development, much smaller than the Toyota Music Factory, but it's mixed use and it has a number of shops and restaurants. And each restaurant has its own unique flair. Sanj is a fine dining Indian restaurant. And what I mean by fine dining is you walk in and there's beautiful porcelain china set at each plate. At each place. It's gorgeous. And then everything is family. When I sat down with a large group of 6, it was a small table and everything was on the table already. And I was like, how are they going to put our food down? But they don't. They serve it to you. So really, really nice. There's also Monaco there with a French-inspired cuisine. That's where Pacific Table is that we spoke about earlier. And then Hugo's Invitados, which is known for its organic Mexican dishes, among others. At the Toyota Music Factory, as I've mentioned, there are like 20 plus eateries, but we're really excited to welcome some new spots, which will include Shoals Smokehouse, and that's barbecue. Gotta love barbecue in Texas. So we're happy to get that. And we talked about Knife at the Ritz Carlton, and that is their signature restaurant. And it was just opened by a well-known Michelin star chef, which is John Cesar.
Are we correct in assuming there's a strong Mexican or at least Tex-Mex influence in local cuisine? And any special recipes you might recommend to out-of-towners?
Well, I don't know any special recipes because that's why we're going to the restaurant so they can do it for us. But I will tell you that Texans always like their chips and salsa wherever we go, and you just have to make sure that the salsa is spicy.
Oh, of course. Since Irving includes a little Tokyo, does it also have Japanese restaurants?
We don't have an official Little Tokyo, but with our diversity, we do have an amazing concentration of international restaurants, of course, especially in one particular zip code, which is 75038. That zip code includes the fantastic Japanese dining and the award-winning Mr. Max, which has been a local staple for over 30 years. Here, the food isn't the only thing that's authentic, but the seating and atmosphere transport you into Japan, meaning you remove your shoes and sit on the floor. This gem was also named one of Yelp's top 100 places to eat in the United States last year.
Wow, that is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
For visitors who want to make maximum mileage out of minimum time, are there narrated local highlight tours they should try?
While there aren't narrated tours, visit Irving's website is a treasure trove of information, packed with curated itinerary. We have curated itineraries for every type of traveler. So whether you're a foodie looking for the best eats, a music lover exploring Irving's live entertainment scene, or a couple searching for your romantic getaway, you'll find plenty of inspiration to craft your perfect trip. We actually have itineraries on there.
Oh, excellent. That's
Suggested itineraries, I should say.
And folks, you can see the web link right at the bottom, crawling across the screen. We are talking Irving, Texas with Lori Sermon.
Mm-hmm.
Lori, what are the peak and bargain seasons in Irving, and what kind of accommodations can visitors find?
You're frozen again.
I'm sorry?
I said you were freezing up again. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. What are the peak
time.
and bargain seasons in Irving, and what kind of accommodations can visitors find?
I think summer is considered the bargain season. If you've ever been to Texas, you understand why summer is the bargain season. It can be quite hot. However, we have fantastic accommodations with great pool scenes. Also, due to business travel, holidays and weekends are also kind of the less expensive time to come because we do so much convention and events travel here. We have actually more than 90 hotels and 13,000 guest rooms. And really, that meets every style and budget. We've talked about the Texican Court, the Ritz-Carlton, and the Omni Las Colinas, and they are at the top of my list for activities. The Ritz has activities for kids. They have really nice things going on during the holidays. Like they have right now, it's the wintertime, so they have their cabanas that are intended for the pool. They've turned those into ski chalets. So it's really fun. And then the spa. There's a spa at both the Omni and the Ritz-Carlton. And the pools are exquisite. I mean, they're great pools, all three places, all very different, but you can definitely find the style that you like for sure.
Is there new hotel construction going on?
Well, the Ritz-Carlton just opened. Actually, Hotel Indigo just opened. And I don't know about new construction now. There may be one other that was just announced, but not publicly.
Okay. Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you would like to add?
I think, Irving a lot of people don't know Irving. It is right between Dallas and Fort Worth. If you've been to DFW International Airport, you've been to Irving. You just don't know it. You've driven through it to get to Dallas, but it really is a surprising, and I hate to use this term because it is overused and cliche, but it is a hidden gem. It's an oasis in the middle of the heart of the Metroplex, the DFW Metroplex. I haven't even mentioned that that's one of the biggest perks. It is the perfect place to hang your hat if you want to experience the best of both Fort Worth and Dallas. You can head to Cowtown for some Western heritage, or shopping in Dallas is always fun. And Irving gives you access to both while offering its very own fun. So I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. One more time, the website for viewers.
IrvingTexas.com.
Okay. As you see right on the screen. Our guest today has been Lori Sermon of Irving, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us on Travel Witch Radio.
Oh, thank you.
And viewers, now that spring training is right around the corner, there's no better time to get my book. And Roger's going to show it to you right on screen. My biography of Hank Aaron, called Home Run King, the remarkable record of Hank Aaron. Not only his record as a ball player, but also as an advocate for civil rights. This book is brand new and was produced by Sports Publishing, 252 pages. The remarkable record of Hank Aaron. And you can get it on Amazon.com. And by the way, Dusty Baker wrote the foreword. Dusty is a friend of mine, and was a friend of Hank Aaron's as well. In fact, Dusty told me that when he was a player with the Braves, Hank Aaron got a lot of hate mail, and he would throw it on the floor of the clubhouse so that the other black players could see it, but he would never discuss it. So it's quite an experience, the remarkable record of Hank Aaron. Get it today at Amazon.com. Okay, Roger, thank you for showing it off. Next week on Travel Witch Radio, we're going to faraway Fiji. We're going to talk about a destination that we've never had on in our 14-year history. Fiji will be our topic of discussion. So this is Dan Schlossberg, along with my friend, producer, and colleague, Roger Noriega, saying thank you for your time this time. Until next time, see you next week. And maybe I can get the music to play. Let's see.